Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Red and Black Wrestling Show. And we have a very special episode for everybody today. We are joined by majority of the Red Raiders, the St. Francis Red Raiders coaching staff. This is very awesome, by the way. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. Coach Lorenz, as you guys can see, is on a cruise ship out in the paradise right now. So amazing. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out to join us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us, Dan.
So for everyone at home, we have a
Thanks for
bunch
having
of
us.
the Red Raider staff, so they're gonna go ahead and let everyone know at home who's with us today. And then starting off, I believe we have Coach Lorenz with us. For those who can see on the screen, we have Coach Luscinski, Coach Winseman, and then it's just a phone number and a phone call ID at the corner there. So I can't tell who
That's
that is.
Coach Catrabone.
Coach Catrabone. Okay,
That's the
perfect,
big
perfect.
cat.
Then we got Coach Catrabone in the corner. We're gonna have to block that so no one sees his phone number. I will make sure that that's blurred out. But we're gonna get right into it. Thank you guys so much for getting it.
Guess I didn't do it right, Ronnie. Guess I didn't do it right.
You didn't read it. You didn't read it, bruh.
So for everyone, whoever would like to answer this first question, we like to kind of get everyone's origin story when they come on. Um, Not everyone kind of gets into the sport for the same reason, or if so, it's not usually the same story. How did everyone initially get involved into the sport of wrestling to begin with?
Well, I guess I'll go first. I got into wrestling. Basically, my dad wrestled, and I have a twin brother that maybe some people know or don't know. And basically, we were fighting in our living room at home, and my dad said, "Well, I'm going to put you out on the mat so you keep wrecking the wall, so you stop wrecking the walls and wrecking the furniture." So that's how I got into it.
I couldn't tell if there's any audio coming out. Okay, it sounded like someone was speaking. Anyone else want to share how they got into it?
Get in there, big cat.
All right. Hey, yeah. I mean, I'm the youngest of four children. My older brother, two older sisters, and the same thing. Just scrapping in the living room floor. Like when action would start, the old man would just pull the coffee table away and say, "Well, figure it out," right? And that's the way we did it, And then all of a sudden, I just started whooping everybody, and they're like, "All right, well, you better get on the wrestling mat and do this." So that was, my older brother 7 years older than me, my older sister's 8 years older than me, and my other sister's 4 years older than me. So I obviously was the mistake, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, and then it was like, all right, well, this guy's pretty tough, and coming out, Erie, Pennsylvania, like that's all everybody did. You just roll around the corner and what's going on? There's a wrestling tournament, or you're listening to a match on the radio Friday night, because that's what they do in Pennsylvania. They have stuff going on at all points in time. So it's like, all right, you just kind of roll right into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And by the way, since we have you on here, I just wanted to say congratulations to Cam on All-Americaning. You guys being the fifth father-son duo in Michigan to accomplish that. Just want to say congratulations again. I know you heard it probably a bunch since then, but I bet that's been awesome for you guys.
Who's Cam? Yeah, I've heard enough about that kid. Let's talk about us. Thank you. Appreciate that, Jason. Thank you.
Oh, of course, of course. If anyone else wants to share their story, if not, I could get into the next question.
Basically, I was a little guy in gym class, and gym teacher grabbed me, said, "You ever think about wrestling?" And off I went.
That's awesome.
Nice.
We usually call
You're
that
still the little guy in gym.
the Coach Ham method.
Hey, Luscinski, you're still the little guy in gym class.
Oh no.
I wish I was still that little.
We call that the Coach Ham method at Farrell because he's notorious for grabbing a bunch of kids from the hallway and being like, "Hey, you look like a wrestler," and then they end up being in the room. So that's pretty funny.
Yep.
And then as coaches, when did that eventually lead you guys into the St. Francis wrestling room and finding leadership there?
So I'll feel this one a little bit. When I left, I started my career in Amherst, coaching there. I started in 1999 there. I coached for a bunch of years under Dennis Bauer, which is a legendary guy in our area. Then I moved over. The opportunity opened up for me at Lancaster when Hall of Famer Dennis Beck, my coach, retired. There was a coaching vacancy, so obviously it was the right thing to do to go home. It was what I wanted to do, and I started coaching there at Lancaster. I coached there for 14 years. We did really well there. It started to be not a good fit, and it just wasn't what I really wanted to do at Lancaster for a bunch of different reasons. So I kind of left there, resigned from there. It was my first time. I got lucky. That was in 2020 when I left Lancaster. It was the year I resigned in February and COVID hit in March. So I knew, I was done at Lancaster, but I knew I didn't want to be uh, done yet. Kind of extended my time off with the whole cold year and all that stuff. And I had always known that I was going to get back into the coaching. And it's funny because when I left, I told my coaching constituents in Section 6. I told them, I said, look, this is my last year at Lancaster, and I'm coming back, and I'm going to go to a private school, and I'm going to start beating the brakes off of all of you guys. But what's funny is that was way back in 2020, and I think it was what Kevin, like 2018. Kevin and I had a conversation off the side, and that's another thing. I've known Jeff and Kevin and these guys for. So I said, hey man, we should like one of these years just bail on the public scene and go to one of these private schools and see what we can do. And that's funny, Kevin and I said that to him, and then when I finally got to St. Francis, so Mike Masur, the old coach, called me that summer after COVID. He said, hey man, like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, you want to come back to coach? I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And I'd always known I was going to go back to coaching in a private school. But honestly, I'll be honest, I never thought it would be St. Francis. That's the farthest one from where I live and where all of these guys live. So I just took it on, and over a transition couple years with Mike, I took the program over. But the first thing I did when I started to get the reins at St. Francis was build a staff. That was the most important thing for me to do. I've learned over the years, if I get the right guys in there to run the room and run the locker room and mentor these guys, we're gonna the sky's the limit. So the first phone call I made was Steve. The second phone call I made literally 2 minutes later was Kevin. And then everything kind of fell into place from there. And those channels, we worked closely with Jeff and Kellen and Brad, and it just kind of happened. And then, the icing on the cake was last year, with Honey Eye Falls having their little situation. We were lucky enough to get Scott to come and join forces with us all the way out in St. Francis. So, I mean, at head coach, and as basically I'm just the face, and I let these guys do what they do. I can't be luckier to have all these freaking guys. And I do got to say, it's a lot of people say to me all the time, like, I don't know how you do it, managing all those guys with Hart and Kevin and Cat and Winseman. I'm like, we're all this guy. We're all the same personality. We all want the same things for wrestling. It's kind of easy, actually. All of us get along. We all take feedback from each other. It's pretty easy, man. Like it's been an awesome experience so far. Any of you guys want to add to that, Kev or Scotty or Jeff?
Yeah, it's been an amazing. This season was a lot of fun with this staff. I mean, easy. Just, I don't even have to think. I just show up and help out. It's about the easiest thing for me. Of course, I'm only there a couple days a week and then on the weekend. But it's been an amazing experience, and these guys are just the easiest group to get along with, and nobody's got the egos. It's just right reasons, just try to make kids good at wrestling, really.
Now, Scott, why don't you put into perspective for everybody? How far do you drive to come to practice?
I think it's probably 75 miles or so, at least, maybe more.
So he's driving over an hour to get to practice. So I know all the haters are out there, and we might as well address it now. They don't understand the sacrifices his coaching staff makes to build the program that we have. There's a prime example right there.
Kudos to you, Coach. That's incredible. That's a hike.
Yeah, it is a hike. It's funny, the local school district fired me, and my nephew picked up the phone and contacted Hart and said, "Hey, can I come there?" And so Hart called us and said, "Hey, your nephew's reaching out to me." So, and that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, we're lucky to have you. And then St. Francis as a whole, I mean, this year, I mean, even last year you guys had an incredible season, but you guys somehow managed to outdo yourselves. And you guys had an incredible 2026 season. And it was also a jam-packed schedule too. Like, and we're gonna go over it in a second. How did you guys come to planning the schedule for the season? Like as far as the structure, and being able to hit all these events. Because you have obviously your local competition, like separating the squad, and then you were hitting up national level competition like Powerade and Ironman and things like that. So talk a little bit about like that schedule, because this is a awesome schedule that you guys had this year.
Yeah, we're super, again, it's all about staff and we knew we wanted to do these things, a couple years ago. If we want to be the dog, we got to wrestle the dogs, right? Well, you got to be able to split up to do that. And with the program we're making here and giving all these kids opportunities, like we gotta kind of conform to everybody, right? Like we're just not trying to coach the elite kids. We're still building kids too. That's another thing people don't know. Like we have kids that have 1 or 2 years, not even, of wrestling experience, and we have the staff that we're taking those guys to entry level JV tournaments at the same weekend that we're taking our high level guys to Ironman. At the same weekend, we're taking our other guys to Powerade. Like, I'm fortunate, and we're fortunate that I got guy like Kevin up there that, with Steve and I or Jeff and I can break away. We have another head coach essentially in Kevin Luscinski that can go take a crew to Windsor and go wrestle at a high level and coach our guys at a high level and take his second guy there is Scott Winseman. Like he was the small school, the #1 ranked small school head coach last year. Like that's our staff. So I'll let these guys jump in. Kev, you want to jump in? That we were just able to build our schedule easily because we knew we had the staff to go and be able to go with these kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for the guys to be able to wrestle at a level of competition that they're capable of competing at. It tests them, but they also still can develop. And, we're able to do that. We're able to go. I mean, Windsor is a very high level tournament. A lot of guys who show up there, that might be the toughest tournament they wrestle at all year. We're bringing we brought state placers to that tournament. So, we give a little something for everybody. Also, probably we got a carrot to hold over guys' heads too. Hey, you get to the state tournament, you place at the state tournament, you go to Powerade next year. So we got those guys working to get to that level. We got guys that are just kind of building up to that level, like some of our younger guys, like Jackson Taco. Some of them guys, like they need to see that state level competition that they want to get to. Have them strive. And then our JV guys, Brad's taking those guys. Those guys are just trying to break in the lineup. They're breaking their necks just to get out there and get on a varsity mat. So, we're able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and Jeff, I want you to chime in here too. We're so blessed
I'm
to
waiting.
Go ahead,
I'm
Jeff.
waiting my turn. It's unbelievable. Any single one of our coaching staff was at one point in time probably a head coach somewhere. Like I started back at Erie Prep, and 2000, 2005 was head coach there, and then moved on to UB and assistant coach there, and then moved over to Will North and coached there. And then I kind of was Tanner's situation was we're in the East School District, and we didn't open enroll, but we had Aria and Cameron already going to Will North, and Tanner got his Williamsville East class schedule, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, well, you didn't open enroll. So basically, long story short, they basically told us that we had to go to East, and we said, all right, well, I got a one up on this one. I said, I got a situation here where it's the exact nudge we needed to get Tanner to around a coaching staff that can help better him. As a father and as a coach, you kind of have, you have your son / wrestler. And at some point in time, you're like, okay, well, I might need a little bit of help here. And having Coach Hart and Ronnie and even Scotty now and Kevin, Kevin was around with his other son. He was an integral part of Cameron getting good, because his older son, Andy, was a few years older and used to, pound the snot out of Cameron. And then they started closing the gap together, and then they battled together. And then before you know it, those are the reasons why, kids get good, is when you have, you have other kids that just kind of beat on you for a little bit, and then you catch up to them. And then, Coach Devlin Kellen was, an integral part of Cameron getting good, because, he used to train with him all the time. But so just to be able to bring Tanner into that, scenario with all these other coaches was a blessing to me, and then I was just happy to be able to get in and help out every day and help these kids. And, we've got such a great nucleus of kids that just want to win, and you just want to be able to put your son around people, parents, coaches, kids that just want to win, and that just kind of just oozes off on you to where, like, hey, I want to win too.
100%. I agree with that a lot, Coach. And I actually have a follow-up question specifically for you, Coach Catrabone. As you mentioned yourself, being what we like to call Coach Dad, um, it's probably a very fine line that you have to try and balance between being a coach and a father. And from what I've seen, you do that very, very well. Um, what is some advice that you can give, or even just some experience you can share, about kind of having that role, and that fine line that you seem to balance so well?
Well, I was actually at a funeral over the week, and one of the dads said, hey, I'm happy I get to talk to you. He said, he's got like a 12-year-old kid who plays baseball and wrestles. And he said, when's a good time to start pushing him, start pushing the kid. I says, I don't think anybody knows that. There's never a certain date. Is like, well, as soon as the kid turns 14, you start pushing him. You don't, it's every, and I told him, I pointed down at the cookie that was on the table. I said, every cookie crumbles differently. I said, who knows when, how hard, and at what level you can push a kid? You just don't know, you know what I'm saying? And as you coach them, you figure it out, and as a dad, you got to be a dad first, because when wrestling's all over, they're still your son. So you never want to ruin that relationship of father-son, but at the same time, you'll want the best for your child, and you want some point in time your child to be, if you were a good wrestler, you want them to be better than you were, and even if you were a mediocre wrestler, you want them to be better than you were. And even if you were the best wrestler in the world, you want them to be better than you were, because it's just a direct reflection of who you are and how you brought them up through.
Yeah, I really love that perspective, because I feel like because there are a few other people who find themselves in similar positions but kind of struggle, I guess, to approach it because it's kind of delicate, I'm sure. Because like you said, figuring out like when to push as a coach, but also to kind of step back and look at it as through the lens of a father. So like I said, it's just something that I noticed that you do very, very well, and I wanted to kind of just have your perspective on that because some people do kind of find themselves in a similar situation. Um, and like I said, at um with the St. Francis as a whole, for these younger wrestlers that are looking to get into high school, and might be possibly looking at St. Francis as a possible high school to get to wrestle and just be a part of. What do you say to those wrestlers at home? Why should they be a Red Raider?
Yeah, well, I'd say
You know,
go ahead, Jeff.
sorry,
Go
Ronnie.
ahead. Rip it.
Go ahead. No, I thought he was still talking to me. I apologize. Go ahead, Ronnie. You're the man. You're
Well,
the head guy. You always talk first. Always.
nah. So this is how we operate, Danny. Like we're just not. Everyone thinks we're out there just trying to nitpick the best kids. We're not, man. Like kids just want to come to a good program, and they get to wrestle for guys like Kevin and Jeff and Scott and Steve and Kellen and Brad. So like if they want to get better at wrestling, we're a good option. And here's a couple reasons why. Number one, I'll be honest, we're benefiting a little bit because Section 6 is on their downward slide a little bit right now, and they'll come out of it, and we're here to help them. But they're on a downward slide a little bit, so we're benefiting from that. But I said a little while ago, and again, a compliment to all these guys. We have beneficial wrestling at every level in our program. If you're a if you've never been a starter, or let's say you're a modified wrestler and you wrestled in 7th and 8th grade and you're choosing St. Francis as your high school, coming in as a ninth grader, we have kids in our lineup that didn't have any varsity experience this year, and we have a whole schedule for those kids. We run 5 JV tournaments that those kids go to, and we're fortunate in our league. Our league is a little bit, lower level. That we've had a lot of those guys get into, varsity dual meets because they can go and compete in our varsity dual meets against the lower level kids. We entered. We run our own duels every year, early in December, and we had a team bail out last second. They had some scheduling conflicts. So, again, with our numbers and our coaching staff, we entered a whole nother. We had a St. Francis B team, dual meet team. They got 8 dual meets, and those are anywhere from first year to third year kids wrestling on that lineup. So, I mean, we got everything you need at St. Francis to be, to get better at wrestling. We have entry level wrestling and we have national level wrestling, and then everything in between. And like I said, the first thing I did was I tried to convince these guys to come in here because we got a coach for every level too, and we got multiple coaches for every level. So that's where we're at St. Francis. Everyone thinks we're out there just trying to grab the best kids. Anybody that wants to wrestle and be good at it and work hard, come on over. We can do that. We know how to do that, and we got enough guys that we got somebody for everybody.
I think I can add something to that, Ron, too. Is being a Catholic school, the education is better. It just is. They teach from a little different perspective. Teachers are there for the right reasons, and I think the education is better as well.
I agree too.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That is, and it, like I said, people ask me what's the difference. We have a better academic situation than most public schools do. We have a better social situation than a lot of public schools are dealing with right now. So yeah, and our school is really small. So there's a lot of one-on-one and a lot of personal interaction. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but there's a lot of these kids get whatever they need whenever they need it.
And they do a great job of trying to make it as affordable as possible as well.
Yeah.
And then follow-up question for the St. Francis coaching staff, whoever wants to take the lead. There are some of our schools that also have like subsidiary clubs that they're associated with. You guys particularly have the KD6 club, right? One, how did that kind of come into about being able to kind of be a part of such an amazing high performative club. And as of recently, I saw being able to have access to like the University of Buffalo room for like practices and clinics and things like that. How incredible of an opportunity that is to be able to provide to these wrestlers, especially our youth wrestlers.
Cover Jeff, it's
I
all
can
you.
grab that one. So basically, KD6 came about. Kellen graduated from college right as COVID was kind of coming on. Everything shut down. Kid literally moved all his stuff home in the middle of the pandemic. And he was just basically looking for some guys to work with. You know, we had a bunch of guys, like, I think maybe our first five guys Kellen worked with were Andy, Cam, Gage, and Griff LaPlante, and maybe Mike Canizero. That was like the original group that came through, and out of LaPlante's garage. So it literally started in his garage with 3/4 of a mat. Mostly, you know, it was Will North, Star Point, and Newfane guys. Kind of grew out from there. We got kids like Austin Zimmerman, who was at Joe's at the time. You know, some guys like that, and kids just looking for somewhere to wrestle during COVID. Brian LaPlante is like the secret founder of a lot of what we had happen here. He kind of financed the whole thing, building out a garage, giving us a place to wrestle, and Kellen also busting his butt, you know. And now with all of us being at Franny's, it's kind of grown into a club. I mean, Scott and I just got out of practice tonight. What do we have, 50 guys in the room?
Yeah, at least.
So, I mean, we got over 100 members right now. We've got a youth group. This is the first time we've ever had a youth group. We run that 2 nights a week before our folk style practices. Talk about having resources available to you. Hunter Richards, who was a blood round guy at Cornell, state champ from Holland Patton, comes in on Thursday nights. He runs a freestyle Greco workout 2 nights a week.
That's awesome.
And, you know, we really, back to kind of what we do at St. Francis, we try to give something for everybody. We have, you know, modified wrestlers in that folk style group. We're coming in really learning wrestling for the first time, trying to expose these guys to, you know, some of the things that we know to be successful. And, you know, it's not just for us, it's for our team. We're trying to expose that to, you know, other guys in the area. You know, we've had a kind of a huge turnover here of the guys in our club, you know, from the senior group that we've had, also guys in, you know, I'm sorry, Andy's talking to me. He just got out of practice. You know, we've lost a big group here, and now we're trying to rebuild it and try to, like Ron said, kind of help Section 6 build up from where they are now to where they'll be in the future.
And
Can I talk to that?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that you know, the K6 club is not just for, you know, the Sannies. You've got all of the Section 6 area kids. Anybody that was anything decent goes to that club. So if that club wasn't around, Section 6 would even be a lot worse than what they are. So he's actually going to be the building block of bringing Section 6 back up around.
right. And to hear kind of like how it all began, like the humble beginnings, like you said, 3/4 mat in a garage, and all the names that have come out of that, what they have done now. Like you mentioned, Austin Zimmerman, who was 4-time CHSA sectional champion, now wrestles D1. Um, Griffin and Gage LaPlante. We all know Griffin has multiple state championships, national placement. Gage was a multiple time state placer as well. Um, all these guys have gone on to do incredible things, and there's no doubt, obviously, that people who will go into that door in the future will go on to do incredible things. But obviously, it's backed by an awesome coaching staff who has their best interest at heart. Um, what are some things that because you guys are so knowledgeable, like I said, back-to-back team state champions. What are some things that both teams and wrestlers can be doing to get better to help them achieve their goals, like winning a state championship as a team or an individual?
The big thing that we hammer home every day, in season and off season, is get good at the basics, man. And we just pound basics. Work hard, live right, eat right, train right, and just get better at the basics, man. None of us are really doing flashy stuff, man. Like nobody's doing flashy stuff. A great example is, Max McCarthy. Nobody knew about that dude. Nobody knew who that dude was. And Max had to wait behind a couple guys for a couple years. But that dude took seventh in the state this year doing the basics, just outworking guys and just being hard and tough. And that's what it is, man. Max don't have the ability and the athleticism as Griffin or Rory or Willie or any of those guys, but that kid works hard and that kid does the basics and he shows up and he lives the life and he trains the right way. And that's what it is, man. That's the key. Just do the right things. And we have super high expectations too. And look, man, if you want to be good, you're going to be good. It's our job as a coaching staff to make sure that you follow through with that. That's what it is.
That's right.
And like that you mentioned too, like McCarthy too, someone that not too many people knew about. He wasn't all that much on my radar until a little bit of sectional duels weekend, but he stuck a little bit out, obviously sectionals, but I really became a fan the state tournament weekend. Like scoring all your points off of stall points is awesome. Almost stalled a kid out of the state tournament. Like who does no one
Dude,
does that.
Danny,
Max
he's
finds
been
a way
doing
to
that
almost
for
stall
years,
out
man.
someone
That
at
ain't
the
his
state
first
tournament.
time.
It wasn't his first time?
That ain't his first time, that.
What?
No, that ain't his first time doing that.
Nobody
No, man,
wants to
awesome.
wrestle Max.
What's funny, we got to get him off of that sometimes. Like, hey, we got to score, bud. Stop. Yeah, you're going to get your stall call, but you got to score here. No,
So maybe
man.
me
I
saying
think
that
he
I
saw the
became a
kid
fan from
actually.
that might have inflated the ego a bit.
No, man, that kid's, he just, again, he does all the right things. He works hard, and there's a true testament of why you might want to come to St. Francis, man. Like, nobody knew about that kid. All he did was put his head down, work hard, and he's seventh in the state in his junior year. And he was around last year. He started to turn heads last year a little bit. We had some mental immaturity that we got through. And he was a young kid though, and learning how to win. And he was learning how to be good. And we just had to get over some stumbling blocks. But and again, I've been working with Max in the kids club program since he was little. Jeff's had a ton of time with Max. Kevin, like we've been around this kid since he's been about 7 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
So it's probably been awesome to kind of seen that growth from then to now.
I tell you what, my favorite. We had a great state tournament this year, and I'll tell you this, my favorite moment. And I've been coaching a long time, and you get these moments only once in a while. My favorite moment this year at that state tournament was when Max, in his blood round, he was wrestling this really funky kid out of Section 3. He got put to his back, went down 7-0. In a normal scenario, that's where Max would melt. He got right up. He started scoring. He put it away. He ended up pinning the kid.
Yes.
My favorite moment is when he stood up and he looked over at, I think it was me and you, right, Jeff?
Yep.
And he realized, holy shit, I just medaled.
Yep.
That was just to see that moment in his head when he realized that, dude, that those are the moments that's why you do this. That's why you coach.
100%. Like that moment of realization of like, oh my God, like the thought kind of just settled. Like, oh my God, did I really just do that? Like, am I really a state medalist right now?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that was probably my most gratifying moment at state. Just you talking about that, Roddy, I got goosebumps. It
Yeah,
just brought
man.
me back to that moment with Max, and like, we as we're going through the tournament, we're just telling Max is just like just like an engine. An engine just keeps running, just like a piston. It keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down, and don't get it going fast. Don't slow it down too much. Just keep it going. And they'd look over at me, and I'd give him like the grinding look, like grind it, grind it, grind it. And he'd just shake his head, and he just did it, man. I mean, it was amazing just to take a kid that, Max's body type 3-4 years ago. I mean, he was, I don't know, 192. I don't know, what was he, right? 200 pounds in 5th, 6th grade. I mean, what was he?
In 7th grade, I remember helping Max try to selectively classify to pass the test to wrestle on JV varsity. He was 228 pounds.
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that kid just, again, he decided, I'm going to live this, and I'm going to train, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to live the life. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what needs to be done. And that kid wrestles everywhere, man. He's at Perler. He's at Kirby. He's at Fargo. That kid's everywhere, man. He's got friends. He's got friends all over the country in this sport.
That's absolutely crazy. Down from 228 to where he was at now at 150 during the season. That's awesome. Like that's
Yeah. Nah, he's really grown, man. He really has.
He took his body type. He took his body type from just like maybe even a little obese kid to where he just formed his body into a pretty jacked up little kid that's somewhat athletic now. And it's just an amazing turn of events. Amazing.
And it was an overall amazing tournament for the Red Raiders as well. Like we said, back-to-back New York State champions. Obviously Griffin getting it done too, going back to back. Caldwell getting it done at 190 as well. Talk a little bit about that weekend as a whole for the Red Raiders. That must have been a pretty exciting weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we're just, again, with our schedule and getting back to it, like we went out of the state a bunch and wrestled at the Super Duels in Detroit Catholic and wrestled at St. Ed's and took some guys to Powerade and Ironman. Like, we decided, again, everyone's talking about Eastern states, and honestly, we just decided that we were going to run a little bit tougher schedule in that tournament this year, and we decided that wrestling these high-level national teams would probably be a little more beneficial for us than at Eastern states. Like, everyone goes, let's be real, right? Everyone's going there to chase seeding points and to try to get some points and try to get in the bracket and whatever. We're as a staff, we've talked about this over and over. We're kind of past that point where, like, look at Colin Edwards. Like, that kid was the 7 seed in the bracket, right? And now, mind you, he had a letdown in his quarters, and that happens. That kid was good, right? But how we look at it is we're just battle tested. It's just another tournament. Like, we're just there and we take the pressure off the kids and just go wrestle. Like, this isn't the biggest venue you've been in. Like, Griffin and Rory and Cullen and Willie and Zach have all wrestled at Super 32, and Max has been in Fargo. Like, we've been in big arenas. Like, yeah, the New York State tournament, that's a good one. That's a nice one. That's kind of what you want to get to. But we kind of set our schedule up that we're ready for that. Like, that's not our toughest one. And it's a good one to get on the blocks and get recognition from. But, and that's how we put it to the kids. Just another tournament. We're here for business. Just wrestle your matches. Like, and I got to say, it was awesome with how family orientated the CHSAA has gotten. Like, it was awesome hanging out with you guys and hanging out with Deagle and hanging out with Cole. Like, we're just in that back room. The kids are playing ball and, wrestling. Yeah, we're there to wrestle, but yeah, we'll get to the wrestling part, man. We're just here doing our thing, man. That was great. So we just kind of, guys, you can chime in. It's just business as usual. They're just other wrestling matches, and we're just trying to win. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think that might have been one of my favorite parts of the weekend was just having all the guys from the CHSAA down in that locker room, and they're all just kind of hanging out, playing Foursquare. Catman was playing with them. I mean, it was a cool opportunity just to, kind of kick back and do it as a team. I mean, you look at what we did as a section, that I think that kind of speaks to that. All the guys hung out together. They all kind of hung out down there, took the pressure off them a little bit. You see these kids just kind of wandering around the arena, looking, with that 1,000-yard stare underneath the stands. And there was none of that in that locker room. Those kids were relaxed. They were ready to do battle. And I think the results show, having that camaraderie, having that team building type situation there. I think it paid off for everybody.
What do you think? Does the CHSAA send 2 next year?
Somebody
I would
was
love
going to
for
get
it.
that in.
We need more than one bid.
Yep.
And you definitely beat me to it. Because I was gonna say, like, the one thing, like, being able to break bread in a sense with everyone that weekend. We spend a whole season competing against each other, but to be able to take a weekend and kind of join forces and have a common goal and have each other's best interest in mind, being able to kick it with each other after the event was done, things like that. Like, I can say this because I competed, like, obviously for Farrell and everything. We've never had that before, and not as strong as it is now. Like, we never had um our qualifiers praying together before the tournament. Like, we had a few kids that were like, we had friends from other teams and we were still friendly with each other, but like I said, it wasn't as strong as it is now, you know. Um
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm just gonna say, New York CHSA is a tight section now, man. Be careful. Be ready. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
right.
We're getting tighter.
yeah,
That's
we're
right.
only going up from here. And where can we see the Red Raiders next? What are some things we can be looking forward to seeing out of the Red Raiders next?
Well, we got our Katie Stick stuff going. Steve Hart, I can't, again, he's not here tonight, but he's one of the biggest parts to all of this. Like, without Steve, it probably doesn't get to where it is. I mean, we got all of us, but Steve is the glue, and he's the one that moves all the parts and pieces. But I think Steve's on the USA Wrestling staff, so we're gonna have a bunch of guys, wrestling all summer, and we'll have guys at Fargo. Dart's just a couple guys just cleaned up finished up at the NSCA's. We'll be at Journeyman. We love Frankie Papalizio out there. We'll be at Journeyman with a big crew in October. But mostly, we got a lot of guys. We're rebuilding a little bit. We got a bunch of guys heading off to college, but we'll be around wrestling a little stuff. We'll be in the room, but I'd say we'll have a couple guys out at Fargo. I think Max is wrestling the U.S. Open, I think, actually. So he'll be out there. And then we'll be picking it up back in October. I'm sure we'll have a couple guys at Super 32. I'm sure we'll have that. So.
Yeah, we should have a decent group going out to the New York State Freestyle and Greco Championships. I think Johnny Pad will be out there. Braden Callison, the second best 126 pounder in the state.
Yeah. Sure, Darch will be wrestling in that too, right?
Darch will be out there. That little ball of hate.
We can get Tanner going, Tanner.
Speaking of Dom,
we should have a pretty solid group going on.
I had to ask that kid, like, were you bred in a lab somewhere? Like, did they make you somewhere? Like, he does not, like, he moves. He shouldn't be moving the way he does. He's like 103 at 215.
Yeah.
The scariest thing I've seen.
His family lives and breathes wrestling, man.
Can I tell the Charlie story with that one?
Oh, sorry, I was coming in and out a little bit. I didn't hear that last part.
Guys, are you back in?
I'm all back in, guys. You guys can hear me all good?
Charlie. Yep, we got you.
We're
Perfect.
back.
So sorry about that.
We thought you gave us the hook, Dan.
No, of course not. I would
Yeah.
never do that. As
We
long
thought
as
We were
you
Charlie
saying he
want to
had
must.
the
stay on,
back
I'll keep
door.
you on. That's never a problem.
We thought Charlie had the backdoor button. As soon as we talked about him, he shut it
Yeah.
down.
He
No,
had the
no,
red
no. Like
button.
I
He
said,
said,
I think
"Bank,
we
hit
just
it."
got disconnected. I'll keep you guys on as long as you want. That's never a problem. I'm just not too sure where we left off before it disconnected. I think
Darts, talking about darts, how good darts is. Darts, how
yes,
tough
yes,
he is.
yes. The freak
Yeah.
of nature.
He's the next. I think he's the next. New York kid that people are going to be talking about. You got, Griffin, and these other guys that are winning the state titles. This kid is special. I mean, he is. I mean, I've coached a lot of good kids in my time, and we all have. And went to some pretty high levels, and I think he's going to. I'm excited about him.
Very excited about him. I was lucky enough to go out to Iowa to the USA Nationals and help coach him with his dad out there, and that was just a joy. He's just a tank.
Was Grandpa there?
No, unfortunately, that would have booted me out of the corner.
Yeah. He's a beast. I love the old man. He's the best.
That's absolutely amazing. Like I said, I was such a fan watching him wrestle because like just the way he moves and he attacks, like nobody his weight is doing what he's doing, you know? And like his only loss was to the state champion, like you know what I mean? Like he has only from here like going up. Like he is the next guy to look forward to from the Red Raiders in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And then before we log off for the night, what are some final words or anything you'd like to share, advice, stories, for anyone who's watching at home? Whether that's the next thing to look forward to seeing from you guys or any big plans you guys got next that you'd like to share.
I'll just start. All I want to say is, man, I've been really, really happy and proud of the CHSAA right now and St. Francis and Steve did a really and I want to thank Lou 152 for helping out cover the CHSAA and he just
Absolutely.
had he obviously had an interview with Steve not long ago and then he had another one with Joe Fiotti from Kellenberg, man. Like it's awesome. We're the talk of New York wrestling right now, and it's great. And we got some great ambassadors with you guys. Danny, Red and Black is awesome. Lou, thanks for him too. And Joe did awesome. And Steve and this man, we're just trying to, like Steve says, and like we always say, we're just trying to promote New York wrestling, and we're doing it via the CHSAA, and it's such a great group, and I'm so happy now being a public school coach for 20 years to call CHSAA my home now. It's a different experience, like you said before, Danny. It's awesome, man. Like we're having a blast. And I just want to thank you, everybody that's covering it. And like I said, man, New York, here we are. You got to deal with it.
Exactly. We're not going anywhere. And if that's all, I was Daniel Adams. Thank you so much for being able to take the time out to join us on our show tonight. Like I said, I know you guys are all very busy. Coach Winseman driving an hour back, after running practice and still being able to find the time to hop on the show with us and everything. You guys are a very dedicated coaching staff. I know Coach Hart couldn't make it out, but I appreciate everything that he does as well. Coach Catrabone, Coach Luscinski, Coach Lorenz, you guys are all amazing. For the support that you give for the section, for the wrestlers, New York as a whole. It's people like you that really help with everything that goes on. Any school that makes up our section, our state, you guys are really the grass and roots that get everything going. So without you, none of this is really possible. And with that,
Thank
I
you,
was
Dan.
your host. And this was the St. Francis coaching staff.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. See you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job, Dan.
See you,
Great,
boys.
great thing. Great job.